Okay, and oh, and we're live. That's great. Okay, so little bit of a problem. I filmed this video and then realized there were some problems with it, um, including a massive echo from me putting two audio inputs and having one slightly delayed, so that was a problem. I believe I have fixed the problem, so we're gonna do this all over again. I think the video is still public, so you can watch it if you want. But yeah, if there is still an audio problem, please let me know so I can try to fix that as soon as I possibly can. Okay, now we're live again, and as you can see, I'm currently in DaVinci Resolve. This is the result of our last live stream, but I'm going to show you from scratch how to set up DaVinci Resolve and start editing, and how to edit and some, basically like a live tutorial where you can ask questions. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is when you open Resolve is you're gonna see this little window. None of these things are gonna be here. It's just gonna say Untitled 1. So let's create a new project. These are my current ones. So what you're gonna do is hit New Project right here, and then create that project. I'm gonna create this live test 2 because that one was live test. Create that, and what that's going to do is basically create a giant bin for everything to go in, so timelines and all of your other media bins and all your settings. So let's do that. Let's hit create, and there we go. Now this is what Resolve looks like when you're just starting out, and it's just empty. Everything's completely empty. There's nothing anywhere. So depending on what operating system you're using and the size of the display, these boxes might be scaled differently. Let me just explain what this is. Over here is the inspecting tab. So we have our, we can enable or disable this right there. Now, if you open up Resolve and there are two things right here, I usually like to just make this window 1. So press this little icon in the corner. And then there's some settings right there that we can get to later. Okay, so the inspector is going to be an inspector for video, audio, some basic Fusion effects, the transition effects, image, color grading stuff for raw files, and then where the file's located and some basically metadata. So that's what that is. And then on the other side, right here, give me just one second. Right here we have the other side, so this is the media pool, and then there's the effects page, which has some basic effects, the edit index, which to me isn't really useful, other people might be, and then the sound library. Now you can download and install the Resolve's free sound library. It's not music, it's just a sound effects. That's nice to have. I have done it in the past. I currently don't use it, but you could do that there if you wanted to. Now both of these things you can enable 2 at a time, so media on the top and effects on the bottom or index on the bottom. But I like to just keep this very clean and simple, so press this little button up in the corner right there, and it'll shrink it so your timeline is as long as possible. And then if this is enabled or not, you're going to want to enable it. This is the mixer tab right here, so press that, or don't press it if it's already there. And this is basically like a miniature soundboard off in this corner. So you can adjust the levels, and when there's a clip there, you can adjust some settings about it. So basic panning and yeah, very basic audio stuff. So that is right there. And then most of the audio stuff you're going to be doing in the different tabs. So let's talk about the tabs. On the bottom here, this is the first tab. This is the media bin, or not media bin, the media storage. And there's a lot to this. I don't usually use it, but this is where you can create your bins and manage your media. Basically, this is the next tab. This is the cut page. I don't use this. Some people might. It's a style thing. Cut and edit are very, very similar. I prefer edit because it has more power and you can do more with it. So that's this page. I'll spend most of my time in this page. And then the next page is Fusion. Now this is kind of the complicated VFX part of DaVinci Resolve. I don't use this very much either, but I have used it in the past to create some things like you can 3D track stuff, replace certain parts of the project or image with other parts, and like treat it like the After Effects, but built in. And the next tab, this is the color tab. Let's bring this up a little bit. Usually you can adjust how everything looks. I have a 32-inch display in front of me, so some things are scaled wrong when you're just starting. So I will usually scale things a little bit. Like I don't need this much space for nodes. I need like that much space, and I don't need this many stills for my still bin. But you can adjust it how you like. Underneath this, we have our scopes. So I'm gonna enable my waveform scope. I usually use switchback from waveform and vector scope depending on the situation, and then you can press that little X button to make it full screen, and this is what that is. I got 2 displays, so some things pop up on the other side. Okay, and then the next tab, this is the Fairlight. This is like the advanced soundboard, but for DaVinci Resolve. So here are audio channels. The studio version of Resolve can go up to 2,000 audio channels, so a little overkill there for most YouTube people. But for a movie, I can see how you could get to that level. And there's basically the same mix settings we have in this tab over here, but expanded upon here. Now, there's some cool things you can do in this part of Resolve. You can do some stuff with Dolby Atmos and 3D audio, but I do not know how to do all of that, so we're going to skip that. And then the next tab is the Deliver page. So you can create your folders, tell it where to go and everything, what settings you're going to use, all that stuff. That's cool. There's some new stuff there. Anyway, now that we know some of the basics of what Resolve is and what these names are, let's go into the settings and get this all configured to work properly. So for me, I usually do 4K, so that's 3840 by 2160, and then my frame rate is usually 29.97. Now this is kind of in a debate among video editors and filmmakers. I prefer 30 frames a second or 29.97 over 24 because in my opinion it is smoother. I would like to use 60, but the file sizes can get much larger from going from 30 to 60, doubling in size. But from 24 to 30, I think it's worth to go 30. I like it to be smoother, so I do 29.97. I used to do pure 30, but then I had problems with converting stuff, so 29.97 I would recommend using. Okay, so we set that, we change that to that, and then one more thing we're going to change in color management. Instead of Rec 709, we're going to do P3 DCI and sRGB right here. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot about something. Did I title this video? It's the same as the other one. Okay, I just changed the title of the video. Starting with DaVinci Resolve. Okay, forgot about that. Timeline color space is PCID3 and sRGB for our output. This will matter in a little bit when I get to it. I'll talk about that color management later. And then our camera raw, I changed it, make sure this is on Blackmagic raw instead of Airy raw, which is the default. I'm using Blackmagic cameras, and that is my raw codec, so I do that. I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but I always change that. In Fairlight, we have our audio sample rate. This is set at 48 usually. I want to be able to go up to 192 later, but I haven't connected my audio interface to DaVinci Resolve to work with that quite yet. I'll figure that out later. So change those original settings, especially the color one. These settings, the timeline resolution and the frame rate is up to you, but definitely get these color space and transformers correctly. Otherwise, there could be some problems with either your video looking way too contrasty and unsaturated, or the complete opposite. So hit save on that, and then immediately go into the Deliver page and change the color space tag to DCI P3 or P3 DCI, and then that gamma tag to sRGB. Makes a huge difference. It will keep the image. If you do this, instead of just the default, it'll keep the image from becoming less saturated and look different from what it is in DaVinci Resolve. All of this is correct. The format is QuickTime H.264 at 4K, 29.97 frames a second. quality is automatic. Encoding profile, everything's auto, and then that should be good. One more thing is, go into the audio tab. I changed my bit depth to 24-bit because I record in 24-bit. This live stream is in 16-bit. Actually, I think it's in 24-bit. Yeah, it's in 24-bit. Never mind. All my stuff's in 24-bit, except for my camera. On my Canon R7 records in 16-bit, but I normally never use that for recording audio. I usually do audio on my Blackmagic Pocket 6K. Okay, so now that we've changed all that, you can do the file name and location once you're ready to export. Let's go into the edit page and get started. Okay, right click, create a new bin. Let's just start test 1. Rename. If you mistakenly type an extra character. It's all caps, oops. Okay, there's our bin. And basically you're gonna wanna have all of your projects in, like, say you have a bunch of projects. Like I can show you, for example, in here, if I go to home, back to this menu we were at before. If I go into copy, it was a copy from another computer, so we can load it. And by creating that bin, you're basically organizing your media. So if I have a video here, I can go into that bin and there's all the assets for that video. And then I can go onto the timeline if it's in there. That one's not, that should be. And I can organize, there we go. And I can go into the timeline and there's my timeline from earlier. So basically bins are a way to organize all of your media. And DaVinci's not responding. That happens sometimes when doing, there it goes. Let's go back. And we're back. Okay, so create those bins. And then once you're in that bin, create a new timeline. So right click, timelines, create new timelines, create new timeline. There it is. Use project settings if you want to use the current settings that you just set in the menu, or you can adjust it yourself by going into the other settings and changing it. I'm not going to because everything is set how I want it to be. Create. Now one more thing before we get into this is in preferences up here. So that was the settings earlier. There's a little settings icon. This is the preferences. On the top menu, you can adjust some of these if you have problems with some other advanced stuff. But I don't change anything in here. I talked about this a little bit more in the other live stream that I did. But again, the audio on that video had a problem. So let me just say, in memory and GPU, make sure this is maxed out, and GPU configuration is either using auto or the metal profile. On Apple Silicon at least. So anyway, save that. I didn't change anything. So let's import, let's find some footage to add to the thing. We create a new bin. New bin B-ROLL. And then this is our B-roll tab. And then I'm going to go find, one second. Oh, I did this in the last live stream. I don't remember where I put all the videos I wanted to talk about today. I should probably have done that. One second while I figure out where everything went. Home. This. I gotta find, so I have a clip I want to use and I forgot. I don't remember exactly where I put it. So I'm going to go back into my giant project. Now this is what I run the channel off of. There's actually over 100 timelines in here. It needs to be a little bit more organized, I know. Okay, now I found my clip, reveal and media storage. Boom, there it is. And reveal and finder. Found them. Okay. Select all those. Now we're going to go back, shoot back to our other timeline. Okay. Oh, that was wrong test. Oops. Okay, here we go. Back to where we were. I'm going to take all those clips from Finder and just drag and drop them in. It's going to load them, and there it goes. Now these are all Blackmagic Raw clips, and DaVinci doesn't do any sort of encoding, not encoding, in any sort of optimization when it brings them in. It just plays them back from storage, except for proxies, which I'll show you in a bit. Okay, so say we want to have a clip. Double click on that clip, and then it will play back the clip. Now we want to set our point from here. So select the move the little dot to wherever you want the clip to start. Press I, that'll start the end point, and then go up to where you want it to end. Press O, set the out point. And then you can drag that clip onto the timeline. It'll just create a new layer automatically. There it is. And there we go, starting from the end point and ending at the out point. Now this is Blackmagic Raw footage, so see how it's pretty boring and flat. So first we're going to color grade this. So we're going to go into the color tab, throw basic grade on this, so clip, apply LUT. This is the LUT that I had on the camera. I think this is a modified LUT of the Blackmagic LUT. I just basically calibrated it so I got accurate lighting, and I used a color chart and I calibrated the LUT to what I thought looked good. So this is a LUT that I created and put on the camera. Anyway, we're already starting out from a good point. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit of contrast in the raw settings, not too much. Bring down the full light. There we go. Change our color temperature a little bit, get a tiny bit cooler, and bring up the saturation. Not too much. And then see this is overexposed a little bit. We're going to go into this color wheels tab, or no, the second one, the dynamic range tab. We're going to bring up the shadows and bring down the lights. And then we're going to go into the curves tab and do a little bit of an S curve, or like an inverse S curve. Let me see here. So the data is there, it's just not being displayed properly. Okay, let me adjust this ISO a little bit. And there we go. That looks pretty good. I think my highlights are being crushed just a little bit too much. Okay, so that I consider that to be, you know, a decent, okay enough grade. If I wanted to make this look perfect, I would spend a lot more time here, but I don't think you really want to see me mess with a clip forever. So, you know, that looks good. Okay, so there's the clip. It's fully graded now to what I would consider to be good enough. Now, see how it's really shaky? What we can do is we can stabilize this clip. So click on the clip and then go into the inspecting part of it and go into stabilization. Change this. So like, because it's a Blackmagic camera and I have it updated to the newest firmware, I can select camera gyro. I'm going to stabilize it by clicking that little button. Now it's stabilizing the clip, so it's aligning or changing where the clip is with coordinating with the information from the gyro sensor. And there we go. Now the clip is way smoother. Okay, and then we're going to grab some music. So I'm going to go into my music library here and pick some music. Okay, found some music. I'm just going to drag and drop this music beneath that audio layer from the other video. I'm actually going to click on this, click on the link clips to unlink it, click on it, delete it, drag this up to above it, and then click this icon right here. Right here is basically a way to grow and shrink the timeline scale So you can do it manually, or you can do it to where it's that clip, or you can do it to the whole timeline. So there we go. That music is now underneath that here. So that works. And then we can add another clip by basically doing the same thing. So I'm going to grab another clip, double click on it. I like that part of it until there. Oop, I'm going to set the out point, drag and drop it on top of it. Okay, so where that that sound is. Let me see if I don't. Oh, I'm echoing. I don't want to be clipping. I haven't figured out how to set up the audio properly. Okay, so we can see here. And then where it's that clip snaps, the audio snaps back again, we're gonna get rid of it. And then we're gonna slide that back. And then here's what we got so far. Okay, and then see how the music like swells up at the beginning? If you select the clip and then there's a little icon and you can drag that out to create a little fade. And now that looks pretty good. Now the second clip isn't color graded, so there's two ways we can do this. We can go into the clip that is, select the clip that isn't, and Command C and then Command V on the other clip. I can show you in a second. Command C, Command V, and it will grade it the same. Or we can go in here and hit, it's not correct, it's not over, there we go. We're going to grab still, then we're going to go to the next clip and we're going to hit on this thing, apply grade, and now they're graded the same. So, and then we're going to stabilize it as well. So go into the stabilization tab, do the same thing, camera gyro, and then here's what we've got. Okay, and then I'm going to add one more clip to this just to show you how this all works. Drag a clip, and then see that audio isn't where we want it to be. Hit that link clips and delete that audio. Same with the other one. Just delete it. And there's the back of it. And then we're going to get rid of that there. So here we go. Okay. And then we're going to color grade that one as well. So go into the clip, select the clip, apply grade here. And now it's graded as well. And this is what it looks like. Now, do you see that click? Like it was stabilized and then it wasn't? We need to stabilize that clip again, because if you're copying a grade from another clip and then you paste it on a different clip, it can mess up the stabilization. So we're going to stabilize that one more time itself. And then we could, if we wanted to, just keep going and editing this out, but I think you have the idea. So I'm just going to hit, actually I'm going to show you some shortcuts. Shift, hold shift down and scroll, and then it'll increase the size or decrease the size of the tracks. Press B to cut it, press A to select it, and then hit shift delete to delete it, or delete. Shift delete is basically will delete like that portion of the timeline and move everything back. And we're going to add a slight fade to this right here, like this. Okay, and then one more thing is what we're going to do here is go into effects. No, more second. I'm going to, because this is a little bit complicated, but I'm going to go into my normal folder here, and show you something that I can do with this. And we're back to the normal timeline, media pool. I'm gonna go to my most recent video here, and this is what a timeline looks like with a bunch of stuff. I'm going to copy this, Command C, and that is the logo. I'm gonna go back home and go back to my video, and Command V. So Command C to copy, Command V to paste. See the whole timeline, drag, move over on top of everything, and you can shrink it or you can cut it. I'm gonna press, there it goes, so it snaps. If you want it to not snap, you can press N and it won't snap, but I want it to snap, and then I'm gonna have this fade in as well. So drag that top part, and let's watch it. Okay, so now we're getting stuttery performance, and this is, I touched this briefly, but I'm going to tell you how to fix that. Go up into the playback menu here, go to timeline proxy resolution, and drop that down to 1/4. And once we do that, it fixes the playback. Now I notice for some reason this clip isn't graded. Oh, not that. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to hit apply grade. Oh, not that one. Command Z. Apply grade. Now all the clips are graded again. And I'm just going to restabilize that real quick. Boom, stabilized. Okay. Now let's watch it. Okay. Now I'm going to export this. So this is a little 7-second thing that I made. I'm going to go into the deliver page. I'm going to title this live test. And then I'm going to change my settings, make sure they're exactly what I wanted earlier. I see. So what the settings I set didn't retain. So that's kind of annoying. So P3, DCI again, and sRGB. Make sure that those are that way, otherwise you'll lose your saturation. Okay, everything else looks good. Browse real quick. I'm going to set this to, where does it go? I'm just going to drop this into my John Morris Productions drive. Hit save, and I'm going to hit export. That's render quota, and render all. Now it's exporting that video and saving it to the drive. And then from there, I can upload it to YouTube and produce it if I wanted to. So it's going to be done in a second. And done. Now if I double click this, I can hit reveal in Finder. It's going to pop it up in a Finder, and it's just right there. 1 second. Here we go. There's the file. So it's very, very simple. Well, not very simple. Exporting it is. But, you know, there you go. From start to finish, how to edit in Resolve. Now, there's a lot more to it than just this little thing. But if you have any questions about it, leave it in the comments below, and I will answer that question. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. It would help me out a lot. Anyway, that's it for this video, and thank you for watching. Now I gotta end the live stream. And